Welcome to the Bearded Bama Bushcrafter. Today I wanted to make a little video on how to make a shelter. I guess the scenario could be you're out on a beautiful day. Check this out, beautiful bluebird sky. Temperatures fairly mild, high 60s. Enough coolness maybe in the air for a light jacket like I have on here. This is a poncho liner. However, the night time is coming and the temps are going to fall close to freezing, if not below freezing. And on top of that, you're lost and you're going to have to spend the night in the woods. Chances are you're going to spend a very miserable night huddled somewhere, hopefully out of the wind. We've got some good wind blowing right now, which it may lay when it gets dark, but if it doesn't, it's going to be a miserable night. So we've got to make a shelter. And the idea of the shelter I wanted to share with you is a debris hut. Real simple shelter to make. And also, we're limited on our supplies. Just what we have on us, the tools that we have on us, that we carried with us for whatever outing, the hike or whatever we were doing. And when we got lost, just what we have on us, and we're going to have to collect any type of material to use as cordage here in our natural surrounding. So let's see what we can find. Okay, first of all, location. And over where I was standing earlier is where I'm going to build my shelter. And second of all, we need a ridge pole. And I have found two, so I'm checking them out right now. You want to think of how easy it is to access your material, the time that you have to erect your shelter, so you don't want to get too involved in trying to collect the material you need. So a debris shelter is a real simple type of a shelter. You make it out of debris that is around in the area, dead things. So I found two items and I'm looking at them. I would like to use this one to make my ridge. So let's see if I can get this without making too much work of it. Alright, that didn't work like I planned it to. It broke. I wanted to find a wedge, but I'm having a hard time finding. Okay, I might have to scratch that piece. Let me look around and see what else I can find. Alright, what I was trying to do there, I was trying to break that dead log here. I wanted a length longer than myself, and it broke off too short. I still have enough left, but it's funny, I need to find a tree that I can kind of make like a little vise and snap it off in between, you know, two pieces like this. And I'm catching myself working a little bit too hard, and that was my plan, was not to do that. All right, so let me look around and let me see. I've got an idea of something I can do. All right, so I was able to make me a little wedge vise here. This material is a little bigger than what I was hoping to use. I don't even know if this is going to work. Let's see what we get here. Little key bit of information when you're out working and you find yourself starting to sweat. Take your layers off, especially if it's going to be getting colder, because sweating in cool temps is bad. You don't want to get hypothermia. I've got this thing. Let's see if I can get this camera down here, wedged in here, And I'm gonna try to break this piece here. I'm trying to get a place where I can set this camera up. All right, here we go. Oh, this should do perfect. This is about 7 or 8 feet long. I'm just under 6 feet tall. That's going to be my ridgepole. My little vise worked. All right, real quickly, when you choose your location, try to find a place that is as level as possible and look for poisonous plants. In our area, we have fire ants, and they're pretty much year-round. So I definitely want to make sure that I don't have fire ants around in my immediate vicinity, and I don't see any at this time. I do see some plants. This right here, a lot of people might think that's poison ivy. That's actually a little seedling from a maple tree. Virginia creeper. I do not see any poison ivy or anything else. All I need to do here is clean this stuff out of my way and start constructing this shelter. So what I'm doing now, trying to clear out all the stuff that I would be laying on throughout the night. And I'm laying my head up against the base of this tree, and I'm measuring the distance from this tree to my feet with just a small amount of foot room. So here I am from the tree. There's my feet. And I have marked it with my feet, and that's where I'm going to put my ridgepole. So now I've got to get my ridgepole started, get it set up, and then it should flow better from there. Okay, just real quickly, I don't have the ridgepole secure, but you want it, the end against the tree, about sternum, navel to sternum height, waist height. Doesn't really, waist height would be better. You don't want a lot of space in there that you have to keep warm. The whole idea is just having a small area with some dead air, but it's going to be small and compact. So I would go with waist height. You can just measure that by standing by it. But I've got to secure this to the tree, and then the other end will just rest on the ground. All right, folks, this is why it is always good to practice your craft. Put yourself in what-if scenarios in areas where you're safe. And as I'm sitting here, what I'm trying to do, I found a sweet gum, and yeah, it is sawed. But those of you who know me, and if you don't, you're going to know this. I rarely, seldom venture out without my Leatherman, and it has a saw on it. And that saw, I'm going to tell you what, it has saved my butt many a time. And I said at the beginning of the video, what I have on me I can use. I've got my Kephart with me, and I love this knife. But what I'm learning here in this situation, it's really, I wish I had a heavier knife, because it's caused me to work more, this knife is. And I'm just trying to put a point on this end of the tree so I can job it into the ground better and get more stability out of it, because I'm going to use this as an upright to secure that ridgepole. And let me show you real quick. See, it's just, if I had a heavier knife, I could chop better. This one just kind of makes me work harder. And I don't want to get out here too much and exert a lot of energy and sweat. Sweating is what I want to avoid at all costs, especially when it's cold. And I'm going to have to spend the night in the woods. Okay, I didn't want to bore you guys too much with all that work. And what I did, I simply just made this end like a spike. I'll be able to get it into the ground better. Okay guys, I'm trying to keep this video as simple as can be. So I found some honeysuckle vine for my cordage, and all I wanted to do was secure this. This was real simple. It doesn't take any knowledge of knowing how to braid, how to make twine of any sort. Shoot, I can't even think of what it's called. The process of making, my mind just went blank on me. Just simply found pieces long enough. These pieces that I found, they already have the woody part to them. They're stronger that way. Now you can take time and wind them together, and it makes them stronger, but we don't have much time, and our knowledge is limited to what we can do. Check this out. It's secure, and this shelter doesn't need a lot of bracing. We're trying to keep it simple. That's what we're trying to do here. And how I tied this was just a simple overhand knot. That's it. All right, keeping in mind the wind is coming from this way, so my door is going to be on that end. As the wind's pushing, it'll push against the shelter, not into the shelter, because my doorway is going to be right here. So now what I've got to do, I've got to find pieces to make the ribs. So I've got to get out and find pieces for that. Okay, I have been working for about 35, 40 minutes almost. And I've got the shelter framed up. It's going to be my doorway. Of course, there's a lot more to do. This is not a very hard shelter to make. Now I'm going to cover it with more debris and make it windproof and waterproof. Stand by. Okay, let's check and see where we are. I have been on this project for almost an hour, approximately 55 minutes here. And this so far is my shelter. And in the daylight, you can check. You don't want to see daylight. You can see there's very little light. The more debris that you have on it, the warmer it's going to be, and the more waterproof it's going to be. This shelter will keep you safe and warm the way it is right now throughout this evening. And the temperatures are going to dip into the low 30s, 30, that's on the Fahrenheit scale. Keep in mind, with a shelter like this, this is not a fire-friendly shelter. So if you were going to have a fire tonight, I would clear me a spot somewhere over there, away from it. The wind's pushing that way. But as I said earlier in the video, this was kind of a quick situation you got yourself into. You were limited on your supplies. You may not even have fire-making material. But you know what? We've got a shelter. We've got a peace of mind. All we have to do now, I'm gonna do a little bit more work on it, and I'm gonna make me a door, and we're gonna see how it works. All right, here we are in the shelter. Wherever you see daylight, I got it pretty good. But wherever you see daylight, that's pretty much where you can have air and water to come in on you. Now, this is not the Motel 6, but this is something that will keep your butt alive in inclement weather. Will keep you safe from the elements. This is not bad. And when my children were with me, and we had to stay in here, one of them could. I could probably get, yeah, I believe I could get 2, 3, might could get all 4 of them in here. It would be tight, but that would be more warmth. All right, I'm gonna climb out real quick. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I sweat no matter what I'm doing. So I did break out in a sweat here. I want you to kind of keep this in mind as you think about these debris shelters. This shelter, I can work on it. Like tonight, I've got shelter to keep me warm, keep me safe. And I was taught, back in the early 90s, I studied ninjutsu. And the guy who taught me, who was my instructor, he was real big into survival. He actually was a civilian that worked at Fort Benning, and he worked with the Army Rangers. We had some opportunities to go out there sometimes and work with those guys in training with ninjutsu, with some fighting arts. And I was actually used as a practice dummy. But we did a lot of wood skills And I remember him teaching us how to make a debris hut, and you use your arm for measurement. The thickness, which this is not thick at all, but in your colder climates, you'd want to be able to stick your hand in to your ridge up to your shoulder, at least that thick to keep you warm. But here in this climate, this is more than enough. And also, as I was working on it, I noticed that my mind was preoccupied with what I was doing. Because let's think about it, if you're lost, I don't know if you guys have ever been lost, but it's not a fun feeling. And your mind kind of can start throwing things at you. And it's just like the other day, in that video, when I came upon those hogs. Man, that adrenaline rush really kind of had me going. And I actually got lost there for a few minutes, and I was turned around in the area that I was familiar with. So imagine being somewhere that you're not familiar with, and you're getting lost. That can really play on your mental game. But I wanted to make a video, and it's going to be part of this little series I'm doing, Bushcraft 101. And I didn't have any type of cordage, like bank line, rope, any man-made material. What I did use was honeysuckle vine just to secure that ridge pole. It's not a lot of weight on this thing, but still, I don't want that ridge pole falling down on me. Okay, let's recap real quickly. The situation was you were out on a day hike, let's say, and you got lost. And you knew it's come down, you're going to spend the night in the woods, and the temperatures are dropping. You need shelter. I know most of the time, well, I can't say that, because the average person probably doesn't go into the woods prepared to spend the night. I would say if you're a person who is prepared to spend the night in the woods, you're well above average. You can take this video, go to an area that you're familiar with. You've got to practice these skills. The only way you're going to get better is to practice. Paul Bear Bryant once said, he was a coach at the University of Alabama, perfect practice makes perfect. Think about that. You got to hone your skills. If you're in a situation and you need to make a shelter and you've never built a shelter, you're going to be up Poop Creek and you're going to have a cold night, and you may, depending on your situation, are you fed up? Did you eat enough? Did you have snacks? Do you have water? You could succumb to the elements throughout the night and be dead by morning. That's extreme, but yes, it happens. Build you this little shelter like this. It's called a debris hut. Everything I collected, I was within sight of this shelter. Everything that I made this little shelter out of. And here in the southeast, in this region, pine thickets are everywhere. You don't have to be in a pine thicket. There's debris. Wherever you find trees, bushes, you find debris. You find leaf litter. Pine straw is such a good insulator. Again, this is not a fire-friendly shelter. Very quick, basic. It took me about an hour to get this shelter to this point. But I have built these things before. When I studied ninjutsu, that was in the early 90s when I first started getting into survival training, if you will. I don't consider myself an expert, but I have had classes, and I have slept in a Holiday Inn Express, but it wasn't last night, so maybe that's where I'm missing it. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video. Get outside, practice your skills, work on building you a fire, get familiar with making fire. That first video I did on fire making. Now here's your one to get out, make you a shelter, a debris hut. It's fun too. And if you have someone with you, you can make it for two people. Both lay by the tree, get your distance and your width, and then you lay it out from there. And it's easier if you have someone with you to build this hut. Alright guys, it is hump day. It's midweek. We're on the downward slope towards the weekend. And one more time, let's look at this bluebird, beautiful bluebird sky. I hope y'all having a great week. I appreciate every one of y'all. I want to say thank you. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share these videos. Guys, y'all take care. See you later.